This guy made it to the Premier League, even though he was dirt poor. How do you go from one of the poorest streets in the world to becoming a multi-millionaire and one of the Premier League's greatest strikers? This is the story of Gabriel Jesus. Jardim Peri, Sao Paulo. This is one of the craziest favelas in Brazil. Drug wars, drug abuse, domestic violence, pickpocketing, murder. Every day is a fight for survival. But what made it most dangerous for boys like Gabriel were the gang members who patrolled the streets looking for new recruits. This was Gabriel's mother's greatest fear, until one day. The family woke to start their day, and the father was missing. He was nowhere to be seen. It was only a few days before reality hit the family. He had left them forever, disappeared without a trace. Gabriel's mother, Vera, was left alone with 4 children to support herself with barely any income. She had to double her shifts as a cleaner, which meant more traveling around town, but that wasn't the biggest problem. With all the time she spent away, the children were left home alone. She had to find something to keep the kids busy and off the streets, and one day she collected all the money she could and went out to buy a ball. Gabriel's first football, and Gabriel immediately fell in love. The big dream all Brazilian kids have: become the next Pelé, Romario, Ronaldo. All of them are favela boys who turned to football when life was so tough they needed something to keep them distracted and happy. And that is what kept Gabriel sane. While his mother worked, Gabriel would play football without shoes until he felt tired and hungry. He would sometimes cross dangerous streets to local fields just to play the game, so most of the time he played in his own backyard, and that meant he was going to break some of the neighbors' windows. A week wouldn't go by without breaking a window, and this bothered the neighbors, and it got to a point where they lost patience, and one day they tried to force Gabriel out into the streets to play. But right before he was kicked out, a saving angel came to Gabriel's rescue. Ishmael de Oliveira, the closest neighbor of the Jesus family. Ishmael understood the beautiful faith football had created for the children, the dream of fame, money, and a better life for their family. But most importantly, it kept the kids off the streets, even if it meant breaking a couple of his windows. Gabriel thanks Ishmael every day, as he was saved that day. But it is only a few months later that we really understand the power of Ishmael's rescue. Because instead of making Gabriel look like an annoying little boy who broke windows, his window breaking started spreading around the neighborhood as a good thing. Gabriel Jesus began to become legendary not only inside Jardim Peri, but soon throughout all of Sao Paulo. But not just for breaking windows. He also received recognition for his hard-working talent and skills. He played for hours, sometimes until muscle cramps took him. His reputation spread so quickly that scouts from all over Brazil started hearing about the teenager named Jesus. And when they came to visit, they were blown away. At the local amateur club, Associação Atlética Anhanguera, he scored 54 goals in 48 games. Every top division club in Brazil was after the kid's signature, but there was one club in particular that wanted him more than any other: the local club from Sao Paulo, Palmeiras. At the age of 16, Gabriel Jesus went from being the favela kid who painted the streets of Brazil to signing a youth contract with one of the biggest clubs in Brazil. This is also where he made a promise to his very good friend Tininho not to stop playing football until one of them had become the greatest striker the world had ever seen and one day reached the Premier League. Everything was starting to look so good for Gabriel. Living life in a new apartment in Sao Paulo, finding a girlfriend, spending time with his friends, earning more money than ever, and playing football professionally. Gabriel's hard work finally paid off. Until one day, Gabriel's good friend Tininho was murdered. This shattered Gabriel. He had just lost his best friend, and at the age of 16, Gabriel had trouble coping with the grief and fear after the murder. This made him struggle to catch up with the first team players. But then, things got even worse. Gabriel went home from training to get back to his girlfriend, but when he returned to the apartment, his girlfriend was nowhere to be seen. Gabriel instantly flashed back to his father, and unfortunately, the same thing had happened again. She had broken up with him without leaving a note. But the reason for her breakup is what is really shocking. The truth is, struggling to settle in the first team happens to almost every young player who makes the jump from the streets to a pro club setting. But his girlfriend didn't want to wait for that fame or money, and since Gabriel didn't start any games, was only on a youth contract and didn't get famous fast enough, she left him for another player who she believed had a brighter future than Gabriel. And when Gabriel tried to get her back, he called every single day for a whole month. She continued to ignore him. Gabriel was broken. His mother saw how much this hurt her son, so she reached out to help him. "Come home, Gabby. Move back to me again in the favelas. Let's focus all of your energy on your career. Let this be a moment of tribute and revenge," she said. And so, he did. Gabriel's talent starts to flourish. He broke Palmeiras' academy scoring record with 37 goals in just 27 appearances in Brazil's under-17 state championship. And with such a flourishing record at the senior level, promotion to the A-team was swift. Football pundits likened his talent to Fenomeno Ronaldo. It also increased the hype surrounding the youngster. Fans traveled from far longer distances than Sao Paulo, but all of Brazil to watch their matches. But it almost got ugly. During one match, the Palmeiras manager had to deal with several angry fans behind the dugout, who repeatedly called for Jesus to be substituted in, or they would storm the pitch. The manager compared the hysteria surrounding Jesus to the Beatles in the 1960s. They all wanted to see the prodigy. But manager Oliveira had a plan. He wanted to wait for the right moment, a moment that would make a statement to the world. And that moment came in a special and difficult away game against Cruzeiro. And Gabriel made the most of the opportunity. The game finished 1-2, and Gabriel made 1 assist and 2 goals being the main reason for their win. That game alone made him a regular starter. The team won the Copa do Brasil, and Gabriel personally won the Golden Boy Award, and such a performance does not go unnoticed. So then, 4th of August 2016. Pep Guardiola calls. Jesus had developed so quickly that the greatest manager of all time wanted him to sign for his big project at Manchester City. He was going to play with PL stars such as Raheem Sterling, Samir Nasri, Kevin De Bruyne, and club legend Sergio Aguero. It was the biggest moment in the whole of Brazil. And the moment news spread that one of Brazil's own favela boys had signed for the team coached by Pep Guardiola, he instantly became the biggest thing in Brazil for years. Overnight, he started being compared to Pelé, Romario, and Ronaldo. His mother speaks of this day as the greatest day in the life of the Jesus family. She could move out of and never return to the favela. Life would change forever. But she was not the only woman who saw this as an opportunity. Gabriel's ex-girlfriend saw the news and started to text, to call. Damn, she even tried to visit Gabriel. But he didn't reply. He had a bigger plan. A few days later, when Gabriel Jesus scored his first goal for City, he told the world he was ready to give her an answer. But probably not in the way she was thinking about.
Jesus scored!
He celebrated by pretending to call her, just to send her the message, "I'm not interested in your conversations." What a way to end this breakup. Now, a few weeks later, Gabriel didn't want to continue the negative focus around that girl, so he decides to turn his celebrations into something positive. So, to thank his mother for supporting him through the days of his early life, and especially all the calls his mother made after he moved to England alone, he dedicated the celebration to her. But it wasn't just what he dedicated, because when Gabriel earned millions playing for one of the richest clubs in the world, he sent a large percentage of his salary back to his mother in Brazil to bring her out of the favelas. He also bought 250 football boots and donated them to the local team he played for when he was just 8 years old from the neighborhood. But Gabriel had one last tribute to do with his money. Gabriel hired an artist to create a wonderful tattoo of his dear friend Tininho as a tribute to his life, a tribute to the favela of Jardim Peri, and lastly, a memoir of what they set out to become, the best strikers the Premier League has ever seen. As soon as Gabriel stepped out onto the pitch, he gave it his all. He became an instant City fan favourite. He scored goals, assisted teammates, won trophies, and got called up to the Brazilian national team. All was accomplished, but still not the promise to his dear friend. All these years he has played in the second row behind Sergio Aguero, and his playing time was reduced to a minimum. And on top of that, when Sergio Aguero left the club, City started to look elsewhere for their future. So, to fulfill his promise, Gabriel understood that he had to leave Manchester City. He needed to go to a team that was struggling to win, a team that needed him as the main striker, but also a team that had the most promising manager in all of Europe, Arsenal FC and Mikel Arteta. This transfer became the biggest news in the Premier League, but not only for good reasons. Everyone asked, could he really get his revenge by being replaced at City? Could he really bring Arsenal back to their prime? Why would City give him away if he's so good? No.
Vardy flicks it on! Jesus caught this! And Arsenal have doubled their advantage! Gabriel Jesus has now got 2 goals!
He started playing his best football ever, putting Arsenal in a position to win their first Premier League trophy in 19 years. And suddenly, he started getting the praise he deserved.
Gabriel Jesus, Brazilian phenomenon.
Jesus! Gabriel Jesus has been unreal in our team.
But Gabriel didn't care about all the talk. All he wanted to do was stay every single day and move closer to his promise, become the greatest striker the Premier League has ever seen. And he will do it. For his ex-girlfriend, for Ishmael, for his good friend Tininho, for his mother, and for all the children in the Jardim Peri favela.